Hi, everyone. Welcome to our panel. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you here. And today I'm joined by an excellent group of students. They're current St. Thomas students. They're from many different places. They're studying different things. And they're here today to share everything they know about St. Thomas with you. So they're going to give you their stories. They're going to give you their tips and tricks. And you're going to be able to ask them any questions that you have throughout the panel. So the first thing that I will say is while we're waiting for everyone to join, make sure that you complete the poll that you should be seeing on your screen at this time. And remember that throughout the webinar, you're able to use the Q&A to submit your questions to the panel. For everyone who doesn't know me, my name is Camila, and I'm an international admissions counselor at St. Thomas. I do work with a lot of you. I'm seeing the names of the people who are joining, and I will pass it on to my panelists, and they'll introduce each other. They'll introduce themselves, and then we'll go into the panel.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Monica. I'm an international student from Honduras. I'm currently in my third year. I'm honored in human rights and doing another major in criminology, and I'm also currently a campus tour ambassador.
Hey guys, my name is David F. Young. I'm from Nigeria, but my family currently lives in Mascot, Oman. I'm in my fourth year of university, and I'm currently taking economics with a minor in business and psychology. And I've been involved in St. Thomas University soccer team for the last 3 years, as well as the Black Student Association, which started last year.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to virtually meet all of you. My name is Emily, and I am from New Brunswick, but I'm coming to you live from Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm in my second year here at St. Thomas University, studying human rights as my major and hoping to minor in psychology. And a fun fact about me is that I'm involved in the moot court program here at STU.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming here tonight. My name is Ty. I am from New Brunswick. I'm in my third year here, and I'm doing a double major in sociology and women and gender studies. And a fun fact about me is I am the current sexuality and gender diversity representative on our students' union.
Hey guys, I hope you're all doing great. My name is Ray. I'm an international student from Ecuador. I am honoring in sociology and communications and also doing a minor in fine arts. I'm in my second year. And fun fact about me, I am the public relations officer of the St. Thomas University International Students Association, STUISA. And also I'm one of the actors in St. Thomas's theater community.
Thanks so much. Now we're going to close our poll. So if you haven't submitted your answers yet, this is the time to do so. This is just a reminder to submit all your questions through the Q&A. We will be answering them as we go, and then we'll have a specific Q&A time at the end. So hopefully we'll go over all your questions. And we will be sharing the results of the poll right now. So you should be seeing that on your screen. I can see that 65% of our attendees are joining us from Canada today. That's awesome. Welcome. We're so happy to have you here. And we have a lot of attendees as well from the United States, the Caribbean, and Central or South America. So thank you so much. We know you're all in different time zones, and we really appreciate the flexibility to include us in your schedule. Our second question is, have you applied to STU yet? And 50% of you are accepted St. Thomas students. That is amazing. Congratulations. We're so happy to have you be part of the STU community. And hopefully we'll welcome you here next September. But around 35% of you are in the process of applying, and a few of you are still looking at your options. So hopefully this panel is a great opportunity for you to get those questions to your concerns or questions you might have, get those answers. And the majority of the students will be graduating next year. So this is our incoming class in September, but we do have a few students who are in grade 11 or maybe grade 10, grade 9. So it's good to know that you're starting to look at your university options really early on. Perfect. So I see we're starting to get questions in the Q&A. That's amazing. Keep them coming. And now we will start with our first topic, which is a really nice one. So we're going to talk about our favorite stew memories. So Monica, do you want to get us started with your favorite St. Thomas memory?
Yes. So mine, it was during Welcome Week. We have a tradition. It's called Cheer Off. So it's a whole day where you gather with the people you live in residence, or if you live off campus, we also have a committee for that. And you sit together, and your residence advisors, who are the ones in charge of taking care of residents, they teach you different chants and cheers. So you're gonna defend the pride of your residence. So you learn these cheers like for a whole afternoon, and you're getting to know your peers, and you're having fun. And at night, we all get together around a court. It's upper campus, down campus, sorry, yeah. And we all get together and you're ready to defend yourself. You can feel it on the environment. Everyone's taking it so serious. I don't know why, but you want to win. And we all take turns and we say cheers, and we have judges. And they're the ones who keep eliminating people or determining who wins. And in my year, we were all like angry, we were passionate, but sadly we lost. But that was really fun because that was the first interaction I had with my community. I was able to meet students from Canada and students from all over the world, and I got to make friends. So by the way, I always thought we should have won. We were the best, but that was really fun.
So my favorite experience with the St. Thomas University has been in my second year. We went to nationals for the first time in a really long time with the St. Thomas men's soccer team, and just the experience altogether, seeing students that I'm really close friends with on campus showing up at our games that were taking place in PEI at the time. It was just an awesome experience, and it was so fun, and just a time away to really experience like sports in university. It's been an awesome experience for me, and it was something that I probably won't forget for a long time.
I can go next. So my favorite stew memory was definitely in my first year at our winter formal. So at night, you get all dressed up, all dolled up with your friends, and you go to this, it's like a dance, but there's also food and like punch, and you dance the night away. When I went last year, the Thomas played, which was this really good jazz band here in Fredericton. And I totally embarrassed myself on the dance floor, but at the next winter formal, I'm prepared to do it all over again. But yeah, no, it was lots of fun.
My favorite memory was also from my first year, and it was the paint fight. So you get organized into different groups. I believe it was based off of your residence. And then you basically just line up in this field that's an upper campus, and you run into the center, grab, it's like sponges that are like full of watered down paint, and it's basically just a snowball fight with paint. And it's so much fun. You meet so many people. You get covered in paint, and some of it does stay on your residence bathrooms for way too long in the semester, but that's just the nature and part of the fun. So I loved paint fight. I also really love cheer off, and I am going to point out, because Monica and I are from the same first year, my residence won. It was Harrington. I got love for Rigby, but Harrington is by far the best, and the judges saw that year.
Hi guys. Well, my favorite stew memory has to do with it happened last year, my first year. It has to do with Theater St. Thomas. So as an international student, I was always like inspired by St. Thomas acting and theater program. So when I first came here, I thought that I wasn't that big of an actor. And I thought maybe I should try something very small with the Early English Society acting performance. So I went there and I put my name down, and I missed the deadline for that. But my RA, my residence advisor, came knocking to my door in residence, and she told me that I should probably go to the auditions for TST, Theater St. Thomas. And I went there and there was this big line and I was super nervous, and I just went there and did my best. And actually I got a leading role, and it was amazing. Like, it was my best experience as a first year and as an international student as well.
Thanks so much, guys, for sharing those stories. Monica and Ty, I completely feel that competitive vibe. Cheer Up was also my favorite memory at St. Thomas, and I think I'm even more competitive than you both. So I can totally feel that sense of like, no, my residence is the best one. And for those of you who are watching today and you're like, how can Cheer Up get that competitive? Just wait until you come in September and you'll see it gets really, really intense. So today we have a second poll actually on the topic of student memories, and we're going to be launching our second poll right now, which is all about Stu trivia. So we'll see how much you know about Stu already by asking you about Stu's official colors and some other Stu related questions. So feel free to look at the poll and give us your answers now. And while you do that, I will ask our panelists to tell us a little bit more about their student involvement. All of our students here today are all student leaders in many different areas. So I'm just gonna let them tell you about their extracurricular involvement and their academic involvement and everything that they're doing.
So I'll start. So I've actually had a lot of opportunities through the university, work-wise. There are a lot of work opportunities as well. I'm a first-year experience leader currently. I'm also a campus tour ambassador, so probably if you book a tour, I'm going to be the one giving it, maybe. I'm also a Spanish monitor, so I will help you if you're learning Spanish. I'm also through the university, I was able to get an internship with the Multicultural Association of Fredericton, which is really helpful because it gave me an insight of what I'm going to do with studying human rights, for example. And I'm a help desk volunteer, so if you have any questions on campus, you're going to come to me, I'm going to answer them. I'm also in a club called Venezuela 180, which was actually founded by a former alumni. His name is Jimmy, and this is his way of helping his country. And also, I'm part of the St. Thomas University Student Union Activities and Events Committee.
Hi, so for the last 3 years up till this year, for COVID reasons, I've been involved in the St. Thomas University men's soccer team as a striker. And just to touch up a little bit more on that, I was actually recruited from Mascot, Oman, which is a long ways away from Canada. So that's just to speak on the levels of the athletic program here in Fredericton and in St. Thomas University. They really go the extra length to make sure that I had the opportunity as an athlete here, as well as a student. So along with that, I also was the co-founder of the Black Student Association of St. Thomas University with 2 other members last year, and the treasurer for them. And we set up a lot of events and a lot of inclusive events for our Black students. So me being far away from home and also in a new country, the fact that I had such cushions with athletics as well as my culture and where I'm from, it's just been a really inclusive environment to be at STU.
So unlike David, I'm not that good at sports, but when I did live in residence, I did play on the intramural team for Harrington Hall, and intramural is basically like fun sports. So we usually do like basketball and volleyball. And I played on the volleyball team, and our team got to play against like some of my profs, so professors. That was really cool. But besides that, on campus at STU, I'm really involved in the moot court program, actually going to nationals next winter in January, which is really exciting. If you're not familiar with what moot court is, it's basically like a simulated American constitutional law court, kind of. And we go against some big name schools in the US, like Yale or McGill here in Canada. And you go up in front of real judges and you argue cases. It's super fun, highly recommend. And then I'm also involved in an Activism on campus, which is a club all about entrepreneurship and sustainability and all that good stuff. And similar to Monica, I've also worked on campus during my time here at STU. So like Monica, I'm also a campus tour ambassador. I love to give tours and virtual tours now. And I've also completed an internship after my first year here in Fredericton at a startup company, which is super fun. And I would also recommend doing that because it's a great experience. But yeah, get involved on campus.
All right. So with my position on the Students Union as an advocate, I've had the opportunity to work with multiple organizations, both on STU's campus and in the Fredericton community as well. So I've worked with the Sexuality and Gender Advocacy Society, which is a relatively brand new society that has shown up on our campus. And I recommend all of you check it out. I'm currently the coordinator. I've also worked with the 203 Center for Sexual Diversity, which is in our Students Union building. It's a shared service for multiple different organizations. They do a lot of really cool advocacy work, and they have some like drop-in events that are super awesome to check out. I've worked directly with Fredericton Pride for the last 2 years, which has been a really awesome experience. I've been a Welcome Week leader for the last 2 years as well. And I've also been involved in the internship program here at STU, working with a curling club. So lots of stuff to get involved in.
That's amazing, Tyler. Wow. Like I said before, I'm part of the St. Thomas University International Students Association. We like to consider ourselves as your family away from home. We are here for international students, for you if you're feeling kind of down or if you want to meet new people and new cultures. We always host events all year round for international and Canadian students alike to celebrate culture, celebrate traditions, and just be ourselves and be comfortable with where we come from. Like I already said, also, I'm already involved in the theater community here at STU and in Fredericton. It's just an amazing spot to meet new people, to get some skills, to leave that shyness away and just have fun and play characters or be behind the stage and do all the production work, which is amazing. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you all for sharing. You're all involved in so many things. I love it. At this time, we're going to close our poll and we'll see how much you guys knew about St. Thomas. So we're going to share our results right now. And we see that, okay, for the first question, what are STU's official colors? This is great. Most of you answered correctly, green and gold. As you can see, most of our panel is repping the green and gold. All of the panel actually is repping the green and gold. We love our STU pride here and wearing our STU colors. So green and gold are the colors that we have. So for the second question, what do students refer to as Narnia? A lot of you guessed the study hall, but really it is the upper parking lot. And for those of you who are familiar with the movie Narnia, which is in another dimension, the idea behind this nickname is that the upper parking lot seems to be very far away from our campus. In reality, it's not that far away, but when you're used to being in a smaller campus, anything that is not directly a minute or 30 seconds next to you feels like it's slightly far away. And lastly, what is the name of St. Thomas mascot? Most of you got it right. It is Tommy the Tomcat. Although I feel like Theo the Tomcat is a very dignified name for a mascot. So that's a good second choice, but it is Tommy the Tomcat. Perfect. This is great. Now that we're talking about Tommy the Tomcat, David, we'll talk a little bit about athletics. We did get a few questions from the audience, and somebody asked us what it's like. This is actually a student who will be joining the men's soccer team, and they're wondering how you find the balance between sports and academics.
All right, perfect, man. And congratulations on getting accepted to the team. I hope that you love it as much as I did. But so basically the coach, and I'm not sure how much you've talked to him up till now, but he has a rule that he implemented for our team called the 8-hour rule or the 24-hour rule, where he says you have to have 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of studying, and 8 hours of physical activity, doing whatever. So he said you have 24 hours in a day, and if you could manage your time really well to make sure that you could get it all done, you'll get by just fine. And he's actually a great example for that himself, because he played for St. Thomas University whenever he was a student as well. So he's only giving us the information that he thrived off of as an athlete as well. And in the 3 years that I've played for STU, I found that getting work done becomes a more of like a team effort because we're all in the same shoes. We're all student athletes and we're all going away on the weekends for games. So a lot of the time we'll get together and try to help each other with our homework. And also we'll push each other to be as academically sound as possible, because a team that is thriving academically and also athletically is going to look really, really stellar in the competition. So if I could give you any advice on that front, there's nothing to be worried about whenever it comes to having time to get work done. It's just, if you have the same passion that you have for the sport, which brought you to the team in the first place, you just need to apply some of that towards your academics as well, and you're going to be perfectly fine.
Thank you so much, David. You did mention that you were scouted by our men's soccer team, and we did get a question about whether scouting is the only way to get into the team or not.
So that's a very good question, first off. But I was scouted from Mascot, Oman, which was a surprise because I didn't expect to see any Canadian teams come for me from such a faraway place, or any North American teams, to be honest. But whenever I came to the tryouts, I noticed that I was only one of 3 scouted players that had arrived for training. And typically what you'll see is that a lot of the players that are showing up are scouted. But our league has a specific rule where you're only allowed to play 3 scouted players in a starting team. So most of the people who showed up to our tryouts were people who were coming on as walk-on players, which means that they were coming on just to try out and see where they fit into the club. And then others were people who were just local from Fredericton who had ambitions to play for the team. So JR, the coach, has told us multiple times that everyone has equal opportunity on the team. It's just the players who want it the most are the people that he's really gonna seek after. So everyone has equal opportunity. If you have a passion for any sport at all, it's due. I'd always recommend to give it a shot. They're always looking for players, and the student body that are athletes is really, really large at St. Thomas University. So definitely give that a shot.
Perfect. Thank you so much for explaining that for us. Now we're going to talk a little bit about our academics, and we have received a few questions about different programs. I'm going to start with Monica. We got a question about a student who is interested in criminology, and they are wondering if you could describe what your classes look like.
Yeah, sure. I love criminology. So I always summarize it as you learning the reasons why people commit crimes, but also understanding how the system reacts to it. So that could be either the punishment or trying to prevent crime itself. I've taken a couple of courses. All of them have been quite different. For example, I was in a class where we used to watch crime films. So we were understanding how the media portrayed crimes, and then we used to discuss it. I had another class where it was mostly lectures, but sometimes we used to watch documentaries about terrorism. We also learn what happens to a victim, who's a victim, how to help a victim, how the Canadian system works, how the penal system works. So you're going to have a very big insight on crime itself. It's really interesting, especially if you're planning on creating programs, how to help criminals and also helping victims itself. So it's very diverse. Usually you have I find criminology courses tend to have a lot of students. So maximum in St. Thomas, we allow 60. So you might have 60 in a classroom, and everybody's really engaged and professors are really knowledgeable as well.
Thank you so much, Monica. Ty, we got a question about the Women Studies and Gender Studies program, if you'd like to tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, sure. So the Women and Gender Studies program is like a multidisciplinary program. So what that means is that it pulls on different areas of studying. So I think it pulls from anthropology, sociology, a little bit of psychology. There's a multicultural studies that we offer here as well, and it pulls from there. And what it does is it looks at the various ways that that women and gender minorities experience the world around them, and the different kind of social aspects that go inside with that. So whether it be, you know, I had one class, well, here I had an interesting thing with one class that I had this morning, and we were talking about the different ways that masculinity is portrayed and comes across depending on what culture you're in. So the way that masculinity is here in Canada is very different to the way that masculinity is portrayed in another country such as India. So like we looked at a comparative study that way. So that's just an example of something that we see.
Thank you so much. That's really interesting. Emily, do you want to tell us a little bit about the programs that you're studying?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm planning on majoring in human rights, which is not what I actually applied to study when I came to STU. It was just an introductory class that I took in my first year. I really fell in love with it and decided to keep going with it. So the human rights department at STU, there's a lot of different courses that you can take and a lot of different cross-listed courses. So for example, like a course in criminology, you might get a credit for your human rights major or something like that. My favorite classes that I've taken so far have definitely been human rights and literature. So we read novels that tackle human rights issues and we talk about them. Activism and social justice is another great course that I've taken, learning about how NGOs work, so non-governmental organizations, how charities work, all that good stuff. And also just like human rights theory, learning about why we think about human rights the way that we do and how we actually like put them into practice. And it's a great major for anyone who's really passionate about social justice and law and human rights and all that good stuff.
Excellent. Thank you so much. David, what programs are you studying?
So I'm currently taking economics as a major with a minor in psychology and business. And similarly to Emily, I didn't come into St. Thomas University planning to take economics. I actually wasn't interested in it at all. But one of the things that I learned very quickly in my short time here, because coming into university, I wasn't really sure about what I wanted to study, which is a place where a lot of you might probably be at. And I actually learned very quickly that the classes that I did the best in were the classes where I had a personal relationship with my prof. And like, that's something that's really good about St. Thomas University is that all the profs work really, really well with their students. The fact that St. Thomas University is a small university means that relations between students and their profs are a lot stronger, and they'll have a lot more free time for personal questions and things that you need to get answered yourself. So in my second year, I decided to take my first economics class just because I was bouncing around with what classes I was more passionate about. And my prof helped me fall in love with the entire program and also decide my career path based off of that. So yeah, definitely a lot of opportunity. And similar to what Emily said earlier too, a lot of the economics courses cross between each other course majors. So if you're in that same bubble where you're not really sure what you're interested in yet, you'll find that a lot of the classes that you're going to be taking are going to be classes where you're going to be learning multiple major information for multiple majors. So yeah, definitely an abundance of information.
Thank you so much, David. And since you're minoring in psychology, we did get a question about what a major in psych looks like. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the psychology program?
So the psychology program, requires that you take, I believe it's, sorry, I forget the number of credit hours that you're supposed to take for a major. But for my minor, I'm only required to take 18 credit hours in the course. And I've been, it was intended to also be a double major because I was originally planning to take sociology and psychology, but I found that I really had a strong passion for economics. But psychology is one of the biggest programs here at STU. I know that a bunch of students here take psychology. It's the profs are very, very good at reaching out to students as well, from like what I realize, from what I remember with the courses that I've taken already. But yeah, it's probably one of the most popular fields in this university. So don't be surprised if you'll have a class of like 60 students every single year that you're taking a psych course. But it's a really good and strong class to definitely have under your belt here at St. Thomas University.
Yes, thank you. Definitely. Psychology is one of our most popular programs. And even though it would be one of the most popular, so you would have more people in a class, like say 60, this in comparison to what a first year psychology class might look like at another university in Canada or North America is actually quite small. So you still would be able to raise your hand and participate in the classroom discussion, get to know your professors. And the great thing about the psychology program for anyone thinking about majoring is that you do have to take courses from the different divisions of psychology. So you are taking courses in like you have the fundamentals, biological psychology, a little bit of clinical, developmental. So it really gives you a chance to explore different topics and helps you figure out what it is that you might want to focus on if you do pursue graduate studies. Excellent. And now, Ray, do you want to tell us a little bit about your major?
Sure. I'm honoring sociology, majoring in communications and public policy, and minoring in fine arts. First of all, I would like to talk about sociology since it's my honors. Sociology is basically the discipline where you get to know about society, how it works and how it changes over time, or how it does not change and how it stays the same. It also it lets you explore more about social inequality, why society reacts to certain ways to certain topics, why it adapts to certain topics or certain events, and how people within a society are part of a whole and not as individual. In communications and public policy is one of the unique still programs. It focuses on the communicational and administrative side of government. It lets you focus on, for example, here in Canada, how the government is structured, the cabinets, the prime minister, and all that stuff. It also lets you build up some skills for your future jobs if you choose to continue on that discipline, like effective communicational skills, writing, talking, and listening, and also how to be more open to people as a whole. And then fine arts, because I did think I saw a question about fine arts. Fine arts is a great program. It lets you get skills to experience life in another view. It also is really fun and proactive. There's a lot of energy involved, and if you're thinking about taking some fine arts program courses, I recommend that you do. It's very awesome. Musical theater, it's one of them. Like, if musical theater, it's this class where you get to audition for it, and anyone can do it. You don't have to have previous experience, but you do need to take some prerequisite courses. And by the end of the class, you and your classmates and your professor organize this grand and an incredible musical theater production that you present to the whole university and the Fredericton community as a whole. And one of the focuses the focuses on the fine arts program are film, music, musical theater, and visual arts, which is art and drawing or basically drawing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ray. We also got a question about political science. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about political science at STU. We have amazing professors for political science. We have a lot of programs that relate to politics in different ways: international relations, political science, law, politics, and society. You can do political economy, even human rights. There's a lot of overlap in the disciplines that we offer. Our political science program does cover the 4 traditional focuses of the discipline. So you'll be looking at comparative politics, Canadian government and US policy, international relations and global politics, and political philosophy. So you are able to take a wide range of options like within the program. The professors, like I said, are amazing. My brother is a political science graduate of St. Thomas. If he were here today, he would recommend you to take the program. program. And the great thing about how our structure works is that your first year, you're able to take courses in anything that you might find interesting. So you don't have to come in knowing what it is that you want to do. Sometimes you come in, you have an idea in mind, you take courses your first year, and then you change your mind, or then you decide in your second year, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And on this topic, we also got a question about majors, the difference between majors, minors, and honors. So a major is what everyone graduates with. We all have to graduate with a major, which is our concentration or the focus of your degree. If you're thinking of going into graduate studies or want to pursue more in-depth studies, you're able to do an honors concentration, typically have to take more courses in your area, and also sometimes defend, or most of the time, defend a research thesis. And then this would be the best preparation for either like law school or graduate studies or anything you might want to do. And if you want to do a smaller concentration, like for example, David with psychology, you would do a minor in a program. So tons of different opportunities, tons of flexibility. Now we're going to go into a fun question. How did you all know that STU was the right school for you? And on this topic, how did you decide what program to go into?
That's a really funny question. Honestly, I don't even remember how I applied to St. Thomas. I remember meeting Camila, actually. She went to Honduras. But I think it was my college counselor who talked about STU. And I didn't really pay attention to it. I just applied. I met Camila. Like, it was fine. I was applying to other universities. But at the end, I feel like everything I was looking for in other places, in other countries, actually, that was what St. Thomas had for me. It was a place where it was a safe city. I also have a twin sister, so I could come with my twin sister. And it was actually, I feel like, the only university who cared for me a lot, who was actually on top of me and answering me back. And it felt like they really cared I was coming to university. So I think it was, for me, the environment, how happy it made me feel, how warm. So that was definitely it. For majoring, I really didn't have any idea. I remember I was in a crisis my first year because my sister knew, my roommate knew since the beginning. I had no idea. I was taking different courses. So it actually took me a while just realizing that I really enjoyed human rights. I saw myself working in a field like that. And I also found criminology really interesting. So I still don't know how I'm going to use them both, but I really like them. So I enjoy studying. That's me.
So I've actually been an international student for like the largest portion of my life, being born in Nigeria. I then lived in the US, India, Norway, Bahrain, back to the US, and then living in Oman before finally coming to Canada. So I knew that like travel is a very essential part of my life, and I knew that I wanted to end up in Canada at some point in my life. But a overguiding theme in all the places that I've lived is that I've been in a big city, and that's kind of been something that's kind of diminished me in terms of my engagement in my schools and in my school's environments. So I knew that if I set myself up here at St. Thomas University, even though it's a very small city, everyone's well tightly knit with each other and everyone knows each other very well. And I feel like that's just made my engagement in the school activities and like being involved in the campus life, that's made it grow to a certain level where now I've achieved this like fun out of it now. So that's a whole side of why that I decided I wanted to come to Canada, especially St. Thomas University. And then upon deciding my major, it actually came from taking my first economics course, and my prof, just within the first week of classes, she blew me away with her charisma and her passion for the entire subject. And I was like, if someone could have such a passion for that, I'm sure I could grasp the same thing. And it just made the information so much more, just stick with me so much more, just seeing that my teachers were just as passionate as I was to learn about the information. So that's definitely a lot of the reason why I chose economics as a major.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, whoever sent that question, because I was in the same boat as you when I was in grade 12, and I'm sure it's on a lot of people's minds who are on the call tonight. It's a big decision, and I totally get that. Why I chose to come to STU, honestly, I didn't really know like what I wanted to do, where I wanted to live, what I wanted to study. Like I knew nothing. And I was like, okay, like I'll go for a tour, I guess. I'd applied to some other schools and I just went for a tour and I just felt like I was at home. Like this was going to be my future home. These were going to be my future peers, my profs. So if you're on the call tonight and you haven't had an in-person tour or a virtual tour, I highly recommend it. It's a great way to get a feel like of the campus and what like your future friends, your future teachers are going to be like. So that's kind of what made the decision for me. And then why I chose human rights, pretty well in the same boat as David. I took an intro course my first year. Like in your first year, whatever your like planned major is, you're probably going to take the intro course for that class. You have like 9 other classes. So you're going to be taking a bunch of different stuff. And that's a great opportunity to like try out some other fields that, you didn't even know existed before you came to STU.
I am right there with both of you. Yeah, I chose STU because of just how inclusive it is. Like I was looking around and browsing other universities alongside STU, and luckily for me, I actually had the opportunity to be on STU's campus before, because in my high school years, I was involved in Drama Fest, and Drama Fest is STU hosts that every year for high school students. I don't know if anybody on the call is familiar with it or not, but because I was involved in that, I actually had been to STU campus twice before in my high school years. And every single time I've gone there, I've always looked around. It was my first time being on a university campus. And I thought, this is exactly what I want. And once I had done my tours and I had been speaking with profs, I realized just how inclusive of a space it is. Like we will take anybody who like comes in, like no matter who you are, where you come from, like what you identify as, doesn't matter. You will always, you will find your niche here. And that's exactly what I found. And I've loved it ever since. As for my major, you know what? I hit a wall because I came in thinking that I knew exactly what I wanted. I went in for journalism, and in my second semester, I was in an intro course for sociology, and one of my favorite professors to date, Dr. Aaron Fredericks, if you can take a class with them, absolutely do it. They're going to blow you away, as they did me. They got me completely hooked, and I have now maxed out my Soc credits. I cannot take any more sociology credits because I love it that much. But the best part about it is that I will be, hopefully, if I get in, taking my degree to do a master's of clinical social work after I'm done here. So.
Well, I think I have to agree with Monica and Ty. I honestly, the reason that I chose STU was because of how open and inclusive it is. It really feels like home here. As an international student, I was worried that I wasn't gonna fit in, or maybe that the way I speak English might be a problem, but not at all. People are as open and inclusive as they can be. They receive you with warm hugs and arms, and it's your home away from home. And as for my major, or honors, I originally came here for communications. I'm still doing that. But as Ty, I went into a sociology course in my first year, in my first semester, and I just loved it. I fell in love with the subject, with my professor. It was a really great experience. And as for fine arts, my experience with TST, with Theater St. Thomas, really just took off, and I'm in that.
Thank you so much. Your stories are making me emotional. And it's reminding me of when I met a lot of you either in person or via email when you were applying for university. So it's so nice to see that you're here. This is a little bit, I'll leave it open. Any of you can answer it. It's a little bit of a fun question that has to do with this. So it's what kind of job/careers are you working towards? So you are at STU, you're taking these programs. What do you picture yourself doing in the future?
I personally picture myself either owning my first nonprofit organization or working for one. And I actually learned this through human rights. I'm really passionate about helping women and children. So I'm definitely focusing on that. And or I would also love to work in the United Nations as well.
So I'm actually looking to get into marketing or education. Just to touch up a little bit on that, I actually got into a coaching program through STU with my work in the athletic department and also playing on the team. And with that, I got a huge reference to work at a child's daycare. So that's also encouraged me to get into education, which I never thought I'd ever get into up until the point that I got that opportunity through STU. But yeah, so I either plan to get into marketing or education program.
Cool. My plan is law school, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If you're on the call tonight and you're thinking that law might be in your future, there's a lot of great like courses to take at STU to prepare you for that, like an intro to logic course or getting involved in the moot court program. We have a pre-law society, so that's my plan.
I kind of like touched on this in my last answer, but I am hoping to go into clinical social work, which is it's like one part counseling, another part social programming. And through the connections that I've made at STU, I'm actually talking with some people from various organizations within Fredericton. And once I complete my degree, we are talking about opening up our own resource center specifically for LGBTQ plus people within this city as well. So that's just a really cool thing that you can do, like combining your involvement with your academics.
That's amazing, guys. You all know what you want to do. Like, honestly, I'm in that boat that I have no idea what I want to do after I graduate, but that's fine. Honestly, I'm taking a lot of opportunities right now. I'm taking some internships and taking some volunteer work that might help me direct myself to the path that I want to take my professional life. But honestly, I'm not that worried because I know that St. Thomas University and liberal arts education, style of education, might allow me to have different skills that can work in any other field that I could imagine. Like in communications, the skills that they teach me in those courses and in the sociology course and in the fine arts courses might help me in getting to possibly politics or into law or into big businesses. So I think it doesn't really matter what you take. All the skills that you need to learn might help you get into any field that you want. So don't worry so much right now about your professional life.
That is so true. And all the things you guys want to do, we have so many successful STU alumni doing around the world. So this is all very exciting. The future is very exciting, just seeing what all the things that await you. Perfect. We're going to go into residence. And Monica and Ty, I wonder if you want to talk to a little bit about how you choose residence or what residence life is all about.
Yeah, sure. I'll start. So I think it all depends on what you prefer. For example, we have residence where only females live in. In my case, I wanted to have my sister as my roommate, but also to have an environment where I was very welcome. So really the residence didn't really matter for me as long as I had one. I think if you're able to live in residence or if that's what you choose to, it's a really great experience. As I mentioned, that was the first place I met all of my friends. And it's kind of an environment of a family because you're all going through the same, you're all living in this place, you see each other through the halls, and especially because residence advisors, who are the ones in charge of residents and supporting students, they tend to make events, bonding events. So we used to have movie nights, trivia nights, pizza nights. So we got to know each other better. So I feel like those were my first friends. Like even if I see them again, like even if we didn't talk, we know each other and we're really happy to see each other because we lived in the same place. And I feel like it gives you kind of a sense of more independence because you're in this new country or in this new city and you have your own room and taking care of yourself. So it's a really great experience.
Sorry, my mute button decided it didn't want to work there for a moment. I am going to echo exactly what Monica just said. I absolutely loved living in residence. Some of my favorite and like most fond memories that I have from campus has been living in residence. I think as far as choosing which one is for you, each one kind of has its own personality to it, much like everybody who lives within them. Like you just kind of go through, and it's almost like, you know, when you come to STU, you choose STU for whatever reason it is. It's the same thing with your residents. Go in. I would recommend going in, checking out each one, talking with some of the residence advisors, and if you can, maybe some students who have lived in the residence themselves, so you can get an idea of what they are. I chose Harrington. And I absolutely loved it. We are all a very tight-knit bunch. We've had tons of fun. I loved the late night study sessions. It was my favorite thing about living in residence is you're up all night, like trying to, well, you're hopefully not up all night, but all-nighters happen sometimes. But when that happens, if you like want to get out of your dorm, which I recommend doing, you walk down to one of the lounges and you've got like somewhere between 8 and 12 people just crowded around the lounges. You got something on the TV, you know, music playing, and it's just like you, your friends, and studying, and it's one of the best environments. Yeah, so I loved residence.
That's great, and I love that you still have that Harrington pride with the cheer up and everything else. And this year we have 3 different residences. They're all on campus. Like Ty and Monica mentioned, we have all female residents, gender neutral housing, co-ed housing. So there's a lot of different options for you. And we do have a webinar next year in March. Sounds like it's far away, but it's right before residence assignments come out. So I do recommend, if you're still thinking about residence, what building you'd like to live in or anything like that, to keep an eye out for that next year. And Monica or Ty, can you, either of you, talk about move-in day and what that is like?
Yeah, I can go first. So fun fact, I was a little bit late to move-in day, and I was confused and didn't know where I was supposed to be going. So I walked right across the, like right in front of, it's a GMH. It's the great big main building. Actually, you can see a picture of it like down below us. The area right in front of those front doors is where they have the speakers set up, and it's kind of like the stage for Welcome Week. And they had speakers going, music playing, everybody was down on the quad right in front. And I tripped over the cord that it was connected to, dropped all of my stuff. And I'm pretty sure I was probably like the brightest color of red you've ever seen. Luckily, my RA, his name was Chris, he saw it, came over and saved me, picked up all of my stuff, made sure I would like found my way to where I was going. And like they signed me in, everyone was very friendly. I was like surrounded by people, which like was super cool. I bought a bunch of residence like merch, and you know, it was super fun. So as much as I had like an awkward start to it, it was moving was great because you know, you get to meet so many different people.
Thanks so much, Ty. That's a great story. Emily, we have a question about part-time work. Would you let us know how you balance your part-time work with your studies?
Certainly. So there's lots of on-campus job opportunities, like all of my fellow panelists have kind of outlined already. But something really great about working on campus at STU is that they like kind of limit the amount of work you would be expected to do every week. So they understand that like first we are people, second we are students, and third we work for the university. So you never really have to worry about being like overly stressed to like, you know, like get all these shifts done at work at STU when you're also a student at STU. Like they totally understand, you know, like you've got stuff to do, you've got readings, you got classes to go to. So if you choose to work on campus at STU, that's definitely not something you have to be worried about.
Thanks so much, Emily. This is just a reminder to our audience. I can't believe this, but we are coming to the end of our panel. So if you have any final questions, feel free to submit them in the Q&A. So we're just quickly going to go over some of the final questions. Ray, we have a question about somebody who's wondering, they've danced and they've played their violin their whole life, and they're wondering what kind of clubs they can join to keep practicing. So can you tell us a little bit about clubs and societies?
Yes, for sure. So right at the beginning of September, there is a Clubs and Societies Fair. They're all up in one building in the St. Thomas University campus. There's this big hall spread out with tables and banners and everything, and you can go to each table to learn more about clubs and societies. For example, we have the Mental Health Society, we have the Early English Society, we have, I think we have other societies. I don't remember quite the names of them right now, but yes, they're all spread out for you to decide, for you to learn more about them, and for you to see if they match your interests, and to get to know more about STU campus and STU life as a whole, and to get to meet new people, get to discover new interests as well. And it's a pretty good experience. And I highly recommend you try it, and you sign up for a ton of clubs once you're in your first year.
Yes, thank you so much. And for students who are interested in music, you are always able to take music electives during your studies. That's one of the great things of studying at a liberal arts university. We love interdisciplinary approaches to learning, so you're able to take classes in different things. And we do have a dance team as well. We share it with the university that's next to us. I'm a dancer myself, so I'd be happy. I know who the student that's asking this question, so I will send you more information about dancing after the webinar. Perfect. So David, can you tell us a little bit about internships? Are internships available for every student? How does that work? Give us your thoughts, please.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. So yeah, actually, I've had a lot of experience with volunteering and internships at STU, and a lot of my internship opportunities have actually come out of being able to volunteer in so many programs. So in terms of volunteering, I've been involved in the food bank program that happens annually at STU, where we'll go around and collect perishable food items and collect them to give to charities. I've been involved with STU and STU volunteer work, as well as volunteer work just for at a Harvest Jazz Festival that occurs here every single year, being part of the STU athletic team. And then out of that came an internship opportunity on campus, where I was able to practice marketing for the very first time in my life. A company reached out to me and said that they wanted me to do a promotion program for them in the middle of JDH, which is our study hall in the middle of our campus. So volunteering and internships really go hand in hand here, and it could really help boost your chances for internships on campus, as well as the fact that STU offers an experiential learning program where you are allowed to consult with people in STU to ask them and gain information on internship opportunities in the Fredericton region. So if you're ever worried about whether you can get an internship or some kind of volunteer work, STU offers the ability for you to be able to find those opportunities with them. And it's very, very helpful. I've used it myself, so I definitely recommend reaching out to experiential learning.
Perfect. Thanks so much, David. Monica, we had a question. What would a first year of Bachelor of Arts with an interest in criminology look like? Is first year more general, or will I still have criminology courses?
Yes, sure. So regardless of what you want to study, during your first year, you're only allowed to take the introductions of that major. So for example, in criminology, we take criminal justice, intro to criminal justice, and introduction to criminology. So you're only going to be able to take those two courses. The rest of your courses, you're going to fill them in with anything that sounds really interesting for you. But that way you're going to be able to know exactly if criminology is for you, if this is interesting or not, or find something else you will.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Ty, could you quickly go again over the difference between the 3 residences that we have?
Yeah, so the 3 residences that are on campus right now are Holy Cross House, Vanier Hall, and Harrington Hall. Harrington is co-ed, which means you have all genders that live in the residence. We also have gender-neutral bathrooms in all 3 residences as well. Then there's Holy Cross. Holy Cross is, it's a smaller residence. It's a lot more intimate, really allows you to form relationships with people that are in your wing. And then Vanier Hall is the all-female residence. And yeah, it's, Vanier Hall was the biggest and they have the nicest lounge. It's also being renovated right now. So it will be super new and very fancy. So look forward to that if you are planning on living in Vanier.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we actually do have an update this year. It's brand new. That's why not even our students know, but Vanier Hall will be a co-ed residence for those of you applying for it. Yes, brand new residence, and it will be co-ed for those of you coming in September. And Holy Cross will become our all-female residence, which, like Ty mentioned, is our smallest residence, and it's very much community-based. Perfect. So we are at the end of our webinar. Thank you so much to our panel. Yeah, thank you so much to our panel for being here today, for sharing your expertise with our students. I'm sure this was all incredibly helpful. And for those of you who are here and then want to maybe rewatch the webinar and go over the questions, we are recording this and we will send it out to everyone, so you will get to see this. But I will just close asking you about just like super quick, the advice that you have for students coming in.
Mine is to don't feel nervous, feel very confident with the decision you're making, and that St. Thomas University is a really great opportunity. You're going to feel at home, you're always going to be welcome, and you're going to be able to be yourself.
As an international student, all I can advise is that come here with an open heart and an open mind. Me coming from far away, I've never not felt at home here, so I'm sure that you will probably feel very welcomed here. And I'm excited to see a lot of you guys if you end up coming here. So
Mine is to pack warm clothes because it gets cold here in the winter, and to talk to people in your residence or to people in classes so you can make friends.
I have 2, and the first one is get involved. Like your first year is the best year to find to try out a whole bunch of different things. So it really gives you the opportunity to figure out like where you fit in, where your passions are. And it is, yeah, definitely the best decision I ever made was getting involved in my first year. So I pass that on to everybody. And the second thing, find a study space that isn't your dorm room, because it is so easy to just put off studying when you're in your dorm. There are a ton of different places around campus. So that's like my academic advice is just find a place. You get your own little corner.
Well, I would just have to say to be confident in the decision you're making, be open, and do not be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. Sometimes students just shy away from asking for help because they feel like they won't be accepted, but no, in this university, you are welcomed and you are supported by everyone, students, professors, and even the administration. So don't be afraid. And yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for your words of wisdom. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you to our panel for being awesome human beings and student leaders. And if you're interested in watching another one of our webinars or booking a campus tour, I recommend you go on stu.ca/date. Have a great evening or morning, depending on where in the world you are. And we hope to see you here in September. Bye.